Hello and welcome to this next video in the series, and this time I'm talking about mistakes. I made a bunch during my first Kickstarter campaign and they cost me a good chunk of cash. One of them cost me about $5,000 US. So I'm going to share them with you so you don't make the mistakes and hopefully I don't make them again on my next project. My name is Jason and last year I successfully funded my first board game, Airport Empire. And now I'm in the process of launching my next game, which I plan to launch at the end of the year, maybe early next year. So follow me along as I share insights along the way. Just talking about that though, these mistakes are pretty broad and across all Kickstarter. So although we're talking board games, if you're doing any Kickstarter campaign, this is probably relevant to you. So yeah, let's jump in with all the mistakes I made. Okay, mistake number one is prototypes. I didn't make enough. Make as many prototypes as you can. This is a little bit difficult because when you get to the stage where you want to make a prototype, this is when you have to really start spending some decent money. Making prototypes are expensive. Why? Because while they make you a custom product, they make you this game from scratch. You know, once they go into mass production, it's all factory molds are made. Each unit can be quite cheap, but if they're just making you from scratch, each and everything is made from scratch. And also, the factories don't want to think you're wasting their time just so you can get yourself a free custom board game. So they charge you a lot of money. I did make a little video, it's a little short, if you go check my shorts about how you can get prototypes for free. So go check that out. I'll make another video talking about manufacturing process and stuff, so we'll cover that as well. So subscribe if you want to pick up on that video as we speak about it. Prototypes are expensive, so what happened with me, they told me how much it costs, and I was like, okay, let me just order 3. The problem with that is you've only got 3. One you keep because you're just going to keep on playing, and then the other, so that means you've only got 2, which you want to send to people to try out, and you want to send to people to review and make videos, etc. So with 2, it's just not enough. It's not enough to go around. You send it to one person, it takes time to get to them, they get it, they need time. Have you tested it yet? Have you made the video yet? Oh yeah, I'll do it next Thursday. It takes a long time, and when they finally do it, they can send it to the next person. It just takes too long. It takes up a lot of time. So get as many prototypes as you can, and then you can send it to as many people to review, to test, etc, etc. So that's mistake number 1. Mistake number 2, speaking of sending it out, is get it to people early. So you want to get some videos on YouTube. You send it to YouTubers because it's social proof. People can see the game in action, whether it's a playthrough, if you're doing a prototype of something else, some other invention you've got, people can see it in action. So you want to get it out to YouTubers. My tip is get it out early and get it way before your campaign even goes live. What I did is I told people the campaign goes live in August, so have the video ready for then. Which most of them did, but then the problem is I had some people who didn't do it, backed out, or couldn't do it in time or whatever, and it's too late. They message say, "Oh, sorry, I'm not going to be able to get it done in time." It's like, well, so they've got my prototype and now it's dead. There's not enough time to send it to anyone. So do it early for that sake, but also do it early because it opens up opportunities a little bit. When my videos went live at the beginning of the campaign, and then other people got in touch and said, "Oh, this looks great. I see such and such did a video. Could I do a video?" I was flattered, but it was a bit too late. My campaign's going. By the time I get it to them, the video's done. It wouldn't really help. So do it early. People reviewing it, they can clearly state that this is a prototype and the Kickstarter is going live later in the year, and it just opens up windows and creates more traction to get your pre-subscribers, your little tribe ready for when the Kickstarter goes live. So that's the tip. Get them sent early and get those videos live early. Mistake number 3 is, actually kind of relates to that one. Another good reason to get it to YouTubers early is that they give good feedback. Up until then you've been doing user feedback and playing and getting, do play testing, or if you've got an invention or whatever, getting feedback. But actually if you get it to YouTubers, they do this stuff all the time. So I got some great feedback from them. But again, because it was too late, I was actioning it late. So my mistake number 3 was actually not actioning feedback quickly enough. I could make a whole video on kind of like criticisms and feedback. Everyone knows that everyone's going to give you feedback. Some of it you have to take on board and action. Wow, yes, that's a big problem. Other times it's like, okay, that's just very specific to this person. They don't like it. But everyone else is fine. So you really need to know, you can't action every bit of feedback, but you can't ignore feedback. But there's some that it's been inkling in you and you're kind of ignoring it, even not realizing you're ignoring it until it's too late and you realize, no, this is a problem, I've got to fix it. And that kind of happened with me a little bit, where I knew things were slight problems, but I was kind of, this is a bit, maybe it's just this one game, maybe this. Write down what these feelings are and evaluate if you need to action them. Act on feedback. You might not need to action it, but just act on it. I did this late, and then that meant some of my videos that went out there had some of these kind of not so great things in it, which isn't in the final game. So I fixed it late, but it looked like they weren't fixed, if that makes sense. So action it early. Okay, mistake. The next mistake I made, it's quite specific to me, but it could apply to you as well, is my game is a 2-player game. The reason it's a 2-player game is because you make your own airport and you add buildings and planes, etc., etc. And in order to have quite a customizable playing area at the end of it, I need a lot of components. So it's quite a chunky game for 2-player. So if I wanted 4-player, it's going to be really chunky. So I just made it 2-player. And basically my mistake was not realizing how many people want more than 2-player. So after the feedback, talking about that previous mistake, people were saying 2-3-player, why isn't it 2-player? Why isn't it 3-player? And I just kept on saying, well, I can't have enough pieces. But when I thought about it, and actually someone else suggested it, I could just add the pieces separately. I did that. I made a component pack, 3 to 4 player, and it adds all the extra pieces. And that allowed people to make it 3 to 4 player. And sure enough, of the 1,000 backers I had, about 70% of them bought this. So 3 to 4 player is a big market. It's a mistake I made. I'm not sure if I still wouldn't have made this 4-player, but what I would have done, and I might still do going forward, is actually make the expansion incorporate the 3 to 4 player. So it's the expansion pack and has extra pieces. So you, again, it's great from a kind of marketing point of view. Buy the expansion pack, and it makes it 3 to 4 players. So that would have been good for me, and it would have been good for my backers, because then they wouldn't have had to buy this extra bit. So I should have thought about that earlier and not neglected it. So if you're doing board games, make it 3 to 4 player. Next mistake is order quantity. Let's bring this one back. So once you finish Kickstarter campaign, Kickstarter's going to say, here's all the backers, here's all the products that's been ordered, go make them. And I had a look, sweet, and you always add fat, right? If you sold 1,000, make 1,300, whatever. Because also the idea is that you're going to then want to also try and sell it post Kickstarter as well. So I ordered extra, so you always add more. This one though, I wasn't going to order extra, the 3 to 4 player component pack, because it just wouldn't, you can't really sell that in retail, it's a bit difficult. So I sold about 650 of these, so I was like, cool, I'll order 700, and that should be good. The problem is, what I did it, but I just didn't think about it, is that in the pledge manager, these could be added as add-ons afterwards. So a lot of people didn't order back this, but then when they did the pledge manager, they added it. And I wasn't really tracking it so much. So then when the fulfillment was going ahead, all of a sudden I looked and we were 50 short of these. And I was like, where's that come from? Sure enough, people had added it afterwards. So now I've dropped the ball twice, because A, I couldn't send those people their orders because they didn't have this. And B, I needed to make more of these. The problem with that is you need a minimum order of 500 normally for something like this. Now I don't want to order 500 for 50. So I was in a big dilemma. I was either going to have to message those people and say, sorry, there's none, or order 500 and be stuck with 450. What I actually worked out doing, which actually kind of worked okay, is because what's in here is what's in here, I actually ordered earlier than I was planning to more of these. So I ordered an extra 500 of the main game, and because it includes the components from this, they added the 50 or 100 extra that I needed. So in the end, it worked out okay, but I still had, that's the retail version that I've ordered extra of. I still had to order 500 of those, which I wasn't ready to do yet. You know, that still cost me $8,000 in outlay, which I wasn't ready to do yet. So although hopefully if I sell all those, it's not cost me anything, but still it's a pressure that and stock I didn't quite want yet. So keep an eye on your inventory and how much you need. Next mistake, marketing. So we'll do another video on marketing. That's the biggest factor in all of this, marketing. You spend a lot of time doing pre-campaign, Pre-campaign, you're doing a lot of marketing, building up that fan base, building up the subscriber list. So when you launch, boom, everyone's told about it, they go and subscribe, and you get funded. That's why every Kickstarter boasts about how they're funded in 5 minutes, 3 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever, because if you can get that, it gets the ball rolling. Naturally, what happens though is you've done that, and then backing tapers off. So you'll get a lot of backers, tapers off during the campaign, and then a nice little spike at the end as well. But the thing is with me, I had no real active campaign marketing planned. I was going to do standard Facebook ads, fine. So then when things tapered off, I started panicking. And then what happened is I just started kind of panic advertising. I paid to be in this newsletter, I paid to be in that newsletter, I paid for these banner ads, paid for those banner ads, and most of them didn't work. I'm not going to say which is which, but I didn't approach it with a logical head. I was just panic buying. So have a campaign strategy in place. Week 1, I'm going to do this, this, and this. Week 2, I'm then going to ask this person to do an unboxing, go in this newsletter, which I've done research about, and that one looks good for my audience. See if I can get in this newspaper article, whatever. Just have a plan, so you don't do the panic spending like I did. I didn't go crazy, but I probably spent about $1,000 US, which was a waste, mostly. And then the final mistake, luckily it's the final one, but it was a big one, is planning your expansions. Now, I spoke about this on one of my previous videos about things to consider early in your Kickstarter journey, because I didn't, and that is planning your expansions. You can go watch that video for the full details, but a quick recap is I had this game planned and ready. It was a big job, my first game, etc. I just wanted to focus on this. So forget expansions and stuff, I'll do that later. I've got ideas, but I'll do it later. What you realize though is that as you come to your campaign is that you're spending all this money on marketing this, and you need as much as return as you can. And it's either, to get return, it's either sales, unit of sales, or the value of the sale. So it becomes pretty clear that you need to get your order value up. So you need the expansion packs. If you're spending $10,000 US to market this, well, why not include that and that so people buy all of this as one? As opposed to spending $10,000 to market this and then 6 months later have to do it all again to market this. You have to incorporate it all in one to get the most out of your marketing dollar. So, which I didn't, and when I realized, I was like, oh no, I've got to quickly add these to my campaign. And although I've got an idea for this, it's not ready. So my problem is that the game was fully ready to go. Once the campaign is finished, I wanted to get it shipped out, because I don't like this Kickstarter thing at the moment where you back something and you wait 1.5 years or 2 years for the game to come. I wanted it ready, I wanted to send it out. But now, although this is ready, everyone's going to have to wait because these aren't ready. And I didn't like that. So basically what I did is I still sent these out, and then I sent these out later, once they got finished. The downside is it's obviously a lot cheaper to send these all at once. So, and it's not fair to get the backers to pay for separate shipping, so I charge the backers to ship it all as once, but then I ship them separately. So I took a big hit in order to send this separately. In the end, I'm sending this out at the end of May. So in the end, it's only been shipping about 5 months later than this, so I probably could have maybe pushed it and waited, but I didn't know, and I didn't want the pressure of having to rush it out. So that shipping cost me about $5,000 US. That's the one that cost me the most. So if I could do it again, I would launch the campaign with everything ready, which meant I probably, instead of launching it in September, I would have launched it now in April, March. This would have all been ready, send it all out. So that's the mistake I made, and hopefully the mistakes I won't make on the next one, and that you won't make. So that's the end of that. That's all my big mistakes. There's lots of little ones along the way, but those are the big ones that I know cost me a good bit of cash, and yeah, hopefully we don't make them again. If you enjoyed this video and you want to know more, if you're launching a Kickstarter, you can go back and watch my original video in the series, which we start by talking the budget, and then from there the videos go on to talk about all different topics. Mostly we're talking board games, but if you're just doing a normal Kickstarter campaign about anything else, I'm sure a lot of it's relevant there. So subscribe and follow along to all the future videos we're going to make as well.